I acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land on which I live, the Yugambeh people, and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this country. I currently reside in Yarrabilba, meaning place of song. Yarrabilba is a Lend-Lease master plan community near Logan Village. My husband and I have always envisioned moving more rurally when we eventually buy a house, and I think moving here may have been a naive attempt towards this. However, being out here has been a confronting experience as we watch the land being stripped right before our very eyes. As I go for my morning walks, I have found that I gravitate towards the edge of the estate, where I'm able to witness nature. Yet, as this course develops, I am beginning to see everything in a new light. Every way I turn, I'm reminded of the ways in which the dominant culture, my culture, are disrespecting and depleting the land on which we take for granted. In my everyday environment, I have not seen Indigenous viewpoints or culture being visible or valued. However, it is not until this assignment that I have consciously thought about it, which is an example of being a privileged member of the dominant culture. Through online research, I did find out that Lend-Lease has been working with Jabri, who are the registered cultural heritage body for the Gold Coast region. After a 5-year cultural heritage assessment, Jabri have recently submitted their findings on the area and made a variety of recommendations, but I have been unable to find any further outcomes. Some Indigenous art pieces have been incorporated in the estate, and a native food trail is under construction as a public engagement and education program, so hopefully a collaborative relationship continues to develop as Yarrabilba does. As I reflect, it was not until my daughter began school that I consistently witnessed an acknowledgement of country taking place. I question why I don't remember this ceremony taking place during my own schooling, or at any event throughout my life up until recent years. Or did it, and I just didn't notice? As my daughter's school holds the memory of this realisation, I decided to have a closer look for any Indigenous visibility within the school. I was pleased to find some artwork and learn of some specific programs being run. However, the more I learn about colonisation and the continued structural disadvantage faced by Indigenous Australians, I question if this is enough, or whether it is a tokenistic gesture. I don't know. I question if an Indigenous family who attends a school would feel it is enough. I used to feel uncomfortable being outdoors. I had predominantly spent my time indoors in mainstream places. In reflection, I can see how this played into the consumeristic, competitive, neoliberal mainstream values of society. However, a few years ago, after our family went through a traumatic experience, we realised something had to change. Since then, we have consciously moved towards being outdoors, engaging with the environment and changing the values in which we live by, which has really helped our family's health and connection. My personal story of engagement with Indigenous people began when I was 12 and I changed schools. I became friends with twins who identified as Aboriginal, and whenever I spoke of them at home, my dad would make racial slurs about their culture. As time went on, he would point out every negative news story that came on TV and comment about my friends. I could never reconcile how he couldn't, or didn't want to, see the people standing right in front of him, but would unquestionably accept a story that was being told by the media. This taught me about stereotypes and the power of the media, and I've had a critical position since. However, I now realise this was not enough, and being a member of the dominant privilege group allowed me to stay ignorant of the historical and social justice issues that Indigenous Australians continue to face. These past few weeks have been eye-opening and confronting, but I will continue to learn and become an effective ally. I am no longer blind and cannot unsee what has been revealed to me.